the U.S. Air Force built the most capable air superiority fighter ever made, then deliberately shut down the production line after 187 aircraft. The reason they stopped building it is more interesting than the aircraft itself. This is the F-22 Raptor. It cruises supersonic without afterburner. It can shrink its radar signature until most tracking systems lose a reliable lock. It can aim at a target behind it and fire. Not one Allied Air Force on Earth is cleared to fly one. This is the full engineering story. How it works, why it was canceled, and what that decision might cost. To understand the Raptor, you have to go back to 1981. The Cold War is still running. Soviet engineers are producing the Su-27 and MiG-29 two jets that, for the first time in aviation history, can genuinely challenge American air superiority over Europe. The U.S. Air Force responds with a program called the Advanced Tactical Fighter. The requirement is brutal. Build a jet that does not just beat the Soviets, it makes them irrelevant. Two teams compete for the contract. Lockheed with the YF-22, Northrop with the YF-23. Both fly. Both are extraordinary. The YF-22 wins the contract in 1991. Full development begins. The F-22 Raptor enters operational service in 2005. 14 years after the competition. By the time the first Raptor reaches a squadron, the Soviet Union has not existed for over a decade. That timing changes everything about how Washington values the program. Start with stealth, not invisibility. Radar cross-section control. The difference between a strong radar return and returning almost nothing. A commercial airliner, roughly 100 square meters of radar cross-section. An F-15 Eagle around 25 square meters. The F-22 reduces that number so dramatically that at combat ranges, most tracking systems cannot generate a reliable lock on the aircraft. 3 engineering layers make this possible. Shape. Every surface on the airframe is angled to deflect radar energy away from the sender. Nothing is flat, nothing is perpendicular. Internal weapons carriage. No external pylons. No missiles hanging off the wings. Every protrusion is a radar reflector, so the F-22 carries none. RAM coating. Radar-absorbent material embedded directly into the skin, converting incoming radar energy into heat before it can bounce back. Together, these 3 layers deny the enemy a targeting solution at the ranges that matter. Second pillar, Supercruise. Every modern fighter can go supersonic. That is not the achievement. The achievement is sustaining supersonic flight continuously without the afterburner. The afterburner is a raw fuel injector at the rear of the engine. It boosts thrust dramatically and burns through fuel at an equally dramatic rate. The fighter on full afterburner is running out of flight time within minutes. The F-22 carries 2 Pratt & Whitney F-119 engines. Each produces roughly 35,000 pounds of thrust on afterburner. More critically, each engine sustains approximately Mach 1.5 on military power alone. That is Supercruise. Why does it matter? A jet running on afterburner generates an infrared signature detectable by enemy sensors hundreds of kilometers away. Supercruise means the F-22 closes to weapons range without that signature. No heat trail. No warning to the target. Just the aircraft arriving at full combat speed. Third pillar, thrust vectoring. On a conventional fighter, maneuverability depends on control surfaces, ailerons, rudders, elevators. All of these rely on airflow. Slow below a critical threshold and they lose authority. The jet stalls and becomes uncontrollable. The F-22 solves this differently. Its engine nozzles physically pivot up to 20 degrees, redirecting thrust like a steerable force vector, independent of wing airflow entirely. This gives the Raptor full control authority at angles of attack that would send any other aircraft into an unrecoverable departure. Point a nose past vertical. Fire at a target behind you. In close combat, the pilot who points fastest controls the engagement. The Raptor points faster. Most briefings skip this detail. The F-22 cockpit was not just built for performance. It was built for survivability at operational extremes. The pilot sits inside a titanium-framed cockpit designed so that the aircraft can absorb a direct missile hit and still return home. The ACES-2 ejection seat is rated for 0 altitude and 0 airspeed. Aircraft destroyed on the ground, the pilot still has a survival chance. The cockpit seals against chemical and biological agents. The pilot's helmet integrates directly with the sensor suite, projecting live threat data inside the visor at all times. The pilot does not search for the threat finds the pilot's eye. Most analysts underestimate this one: sensor fusion. Stealth makes the F-22 hard to kill. Sensor fusion makes it systematically lethal. The AN/APG-77 is an active electronically scanned array, AESA radar. It tracks multiple targets simultaneously while jamming enemy radar on a separate frequency. No mechanical sweep. It reshapes its beam electronically in microseconds. But the Raptor does not fight on its sensors alone. IFDL, the Intra-Flight Data Link, connects 4 F-22s into one shared tactical picture. What one aircraft sees, all 4 see, instantly. No radio transmission the enemy can detect. The pilot is not flying a single jet. They are commanding a 4-ship airborne intelligence network. Every target painted in real time on a channel no adversary can intercept. Only 187 were built. Here is why. The ATF program launched with a projected buy of 750 aircraft that assumed a prolonged Cold War, a growing Soviet Air Force, and a threat environment that justified the price. By the time F-22 production begins in the late 1990s, the Soviet threat has collapsed. The unit cost has not. Each F-22 eventually costs approximately $350 million in total program terms. Development, infrastructure, and support systems amortized across 187 airframes. For comparison, an F-35A runs roughly $80 million per unit, and F-15EX around $87 million. Defense Secretary Gates framed the central question in 2009. How many F-22s do you need against an enemy with no stealth capability? How many against one that has it? Congress capped the buy at 187. The production line closed in 2011. Gates's second question became the argument that arrived too late. Cost is the headline, but it is not the whole story. In 2009, the United States is fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq. The defense budget is under enormous pressure. The threats dominating that decade are not Russian Su-35s operating over Europe. They are roadside devices in Kandahar and Fallujah. The F-22 is, by design, irrelevant to counterinsurgency. It cannot deliver precision close air support to infantry units. It cannot loiter above the target compound for hours. It was built to destroy Soviet fighters at altitude. Gates recommends termination. Obama signs the Defense Authorization Bill. Here's the problem. By 2013, Russia begins fielding the Su-35. By 2017, China's J-20 stealth fighter makes its first public flight. By 2022, Russia invades Ukraine with a conventional air force. No F-35 was primarily designed to defeat. The threat the F-22 was built for came back. The production line did not. One statistic that rarely makes the briefing. The F-22 has flown combat operations over Syria. It has intercepted Russian military aircraft in international airspace. In every engagement on record, it has performed exactly as designed. But the aircraft flies at a fraction of its theoretical rate. The Air Force has reported F-22 mission-capable rates, the percentage of the fleet ready to fly on any given day, averaging around 50%. The F-15C runs 70 to 75, half of 187 aircraft, distributed across global commitments, is not a dominant force, it is a thin one. The Raptor's tactical edge depends entirely on how many aircraft actually reach the flight line. This is the central engineering trade-off of the F-22. To achieve Supercruise, engineers accepted a maintenance burden that cost $44,000 per flight hour. F-15C, approximately $27,000 per flight hour. F-35A, $33,000 to $36,000. The F-22 is the most expensive tactical aircraft to operate anywhere in the U.S. inventory, by a significant margin. The reason is the RAM coating, the stealth skin. It is damaged by rain, humidity, heat, and routine ground handling. After every mission, maintenance crews must physically inspect every panel, every seam, and every edge on the airframe. Repairs are slow, manual, and conducted under strict classified material restrictions. The coating that hides the aircraft from radar makes it extremely visible on the maintenance budget. This was a deliberate design decision. Lethality prioritized over operational availability. Whether that trade was correct is still actively debated inside the Pentagon today. One constraint that connects to everything discussed. In 1998, Congress passed the Obey Amendment, legislation that explicitly bans F-22 export to any foreign nation. The reason, classified sensor and stealth systems too sensitive to risk through foreign maintenance access or reverse engineering. Japan asked, Australia asked. Both are close treaty allies with capable air forces and credible budgets. Both were turned away. This connects directly to cost. A larger production run lowers unit price. Ally purchases alongside the U.S. Air Force buy could have reduced per airframe cost enough to extend the production run. The export ban and the budget cap are not separate issues. They are the same issue from opposite directions. Could the U.S. restart F-22 production? Technically, yes. Practically, it is a different problem entirely. Lockheed Martin studied this formally in 2017. The estimate, approximately $50 billion before a single new aircraft rolls out. The tooling has been retired. The specialized workforce has dispersed. Supplier contracts across the production chain have lapsed. The manufacturing knowledge embedded in those experienced workers, the kind that lives in hands, not manuals, is largely gone. Recovering it is not a procurement problem. It is an industrial archaeology problem. And if the line returned, the F-22's avionics are 1990s architecture. Sensors, processors, cockpit systems all would require complete redesign. You would restart a line to build a jet that needs to be a different jet. Which is why the Air Force is not restarting the F-22. It is building a replacement. The Next Generation Air Dominance Program, NGAD, has been in deep classification for years. In early 2025, the program was publicly associated with the designation F-47. Almost nothing about its capabilities has been officially confirmed. What is known, NGAD targets the 2020-30s threat environment, specifically a Chinese Air Force now fielding the J-20 and the J-35. The F-22 was designed for European airspace. NGAD is being designed for the Pacific theater. A different operational geometry requiring significantly greater range and persistence. Whether it gets built in meaningful numbers depends on a budget debate. History suggests that debate will be harder to win than the engineering. The F-22 is the most capable air superiority fighter ever built. It was canceled before reaching strategic scale. Both things are true. That tension between what a system can do and the political will to fund it is the real story of modern air power. Just when you think you've seen the whole chessboard, a new piece moves. Don't miss the next move, subscribe now. Hardware of peace. Weapons explained. Power revealed. No politics.